morgon, good morning. Such a great pleasure being a part of this crew today. I'm really happy to be here. Modepodden, such a great name. It's a podcast that I host and produce. And Modepodden is really a brilliant name in Swedish. It's not about methods or my current mode, it's actually about fashion. And I must be honest to say that did worry me a bit in front of this presentation. But thinking about it a bit, mode is fashion. Podden is the podcast. So translated into English, it actually is the fashion podcast. Not bad at all. Huh? It is a brilliant name. So, Modepodden is a podcast about fashion, but it is not about what to wear. It has become the storytelling of great creative minds and entrepreneurs acting within an industry that is fantastic, offering both financial potential and possess the power to offer values as escapism, fantasy, political statements, innovation, all within its product development. So Modepodden is really fashion stories, and I am totally in love with them all. I will give you an example, and we will use the fashion statement on stage today, so be very nice. At the first glance, it looks like I'm wearing a pair of white jeans today. For those who maybe takes a bit more interest in trends, you will notice that elements like high waist, really wide legs, are things that are discussed and talked about a bit this year. The white color of them is a recoming trend for each spring and summer season. But looking into it a bit further, I can tell you that these jeans are produced by a brand called Filippa K. And Filippa K was founded in 1993 by Filippa Knutsson and is today one of the biggest fashion exports in Sweden. Communicating the essence of Scandinavian design or Scandinavian fashion, having minimalistic and modern lines as their signature mark. Filippa is also the daughter of Lars Knutsson. Lars was the founder of a very famous denim brand called Gul och Blå, that in the 60s and 70s made Sweden famous on the world map of denim. So the heritage of denim has been a very important part of Filippa K's history, and always a big part of their collections from the start, and now a part of their success story. And it is that combination, together with the knowledge, that makes fashion interesting for me. So, who am I? Well, I'm an engineer that has been working within the automotive industry for the last 16 years. What? So what does a laughing engineer like myself on this cute picture, together with other laughing engineers, leaning over a table over CAD drawings, have to do with fashion, and how on earth did I get into this? Well, in my job, I've had positions like project management, product management, process management, and business development of creative people and creative process. I've been facilitating and working along with designers, engineers, marketing people, always having a creative process ongoing. I think you could call me really a creative process hang-around, really. And when I was on maternity leave with my first child in 2013, the idea of meeting the creative minds within the fashion industry started to take form. And I wish now that I, with my experience within business development then, that I bragged about right now, could say that there was a brilliant business plan behind that idea. But the only plan was actually curiosity. Curiosity on industry that I was, and a subject that I was personally interested in, and a curiosity on how that industry was compared to what I was used to. So, with some help from a friend, Johanna, who is here today, Modepodden was actually born. So, how is the Swedish fashion industry doing? Well, 305 billion Swedish kronor. That was the turnover of this Swedish fashion industry in 2015, which was a 15% increase from the last year. Almost 60% of those is connected to the Swedish fashion giant H&M. The export increase for the fashion industry was 20%. And that is interesting to compare to the around 7% that was the total increase of export for Sweden. Here in the export numbers, digitalization also plays an important part of increasing those numbers for the companies. 58,452 people work within the fashion industry in Sweden. It's quite a lot. It's about half the size of the automotive industry, but the same size actually as another traditional core industry in Sweden, wood and paper. Almost 3 out of 4 are female. However, in the decision-making positions, there are still mostly men. But the number of female CEOs within fashion industry are the double compared to other industries. So it looks fairly good, looking at the numbers. But it really starts to get interesting talking about creative capital. The creative capital within the fashion industry is really, really high valued, and it has a strong connection to the actual sales. Easily put, if you're not creative, if you're not attractive, you won't sell. What do I mean by that? Well, if I compare to the automotive industry where I have experience, which have a product where design is an element or a feature, among other very highly valued features like engine performance or fuel consumption, then the automotive industry tend to think that, it's difficult to actually relate how big part of the sales that can be related back to how good the car looks. Whereas in the fashion industry, design is the #1 element, also holding the value of the craftsmanship. So, having attention on the creative process can actually be a big financial potential in the business plan. In a report about growth in Swedish fashion companies, it stated that fashion together with music is actually the segment that has the biggest potential for export. But the level of competence in the creative area does not only come with advantages, unfortunately, it also has some challenges. One person who is living for making business opportunities out of creative people and ideas within the lifestyle segment is Jan Carl Adelsvärd. He is an experienced investor and entrepreneur within the fashion industry. When he was a guest in Modepodden, he explained the potential for him as an entrepreneur in the fashion industry being, if you have a creative ability, then you can create your own demand, the must-have feeling. The Swedish Trade Council stated already in 2006 that companies within the fashion industry are really creative process experts already, but the one that managed to balance creativity with entrepreneurship they are the most successful. So, it sounds easy, but to do both is actually quite challenging. Kim Densler is a brand who designs and produces briefs and sell them on internet. They were struggling in the beginning of their career to find the right producer. Test or prototype batches are both very expensive and long lead time. So for a startup company, it's really crucial to get it right, and they don't have a choice really to fail. In Kim Densler's case, the first batch delivered to them was delivered with the wrong color on the thread of the briefs, meaning they could not sell it to a full price, and they had to delay the launch of their brand. The second batch, the producer did not have enough textile material. But he anyway decided to do the numbers in the order, just using a little bit less material in each, making them a bit smaller. Again, not sellable. So it really, really takes a person who thinks that a brief deserves the same respect as a shirt, or even more, to do a batch number 3. When it comes to the financing challenges for this, guys, fashion companies are seen as high risk due to low level of fixed assets, and instead assets that are more difficult to value, like creativity, having an ongoing product development with their collections, which can be trend sensitive, long lead times, and short selling windows. It seems to be a very, very high risk, and the finance institutes and the banks are a bit hesitant. This is an example of a trend challenge. Westerlins was a big textile company in Gothenburg, and they were focusing on pleated skirts in very, very good quality. It was founded by Maria Westerlind's grandparents, and they were not only successful having an own factory in Portugal with 700 people, but it was also a fantastic love story between the two founders. Maria tells in the podcast how the company was struggling against the challenges over time when fashion business changes between the 70s and the 90s, meeting new competition in chain stores, offering mass-produced, good-looking fashion to a very low price. Secondly, skirts went out of fashion. And third, along came bike shorts. The cykelbyxa. And that actually killed them. And they had to start doing textile for airbag industry instead. But as a third generation, Maria and her husband took up the task to relive the brand. And now the brand Maria Westerlind has a fantastic history in the luggage. And at the same time, she still do 2 collections a year in Portugal. And it's this wonderful, wonderful potential that I have the chance to take part of and share with you in Modepodden. Stories with happy endings, they are never created in a straight line, and God knows Modepodden have not been either, chasing audio technicians that should be in very short notice, or buying microphones. But I think that everyone engaged in a startup know the process of invent along the way. But learning things in every meeting, going from a goal set to do 24 episodes to soon reach 50, and now actually have a platform of inspirational stories, making the craftsmanship and the brilliance of these creative minds even more appreciated. That has been beyond my expectations, taking me beyond fashion. Thank you.